Hello everyone. So this is the second class for the topic chromatography. Basically, what is this chromatography? It is a technique in which the components of a mixture are separated. Now the components can be organic components, inorganic components, or the compounds like biological polymers like proteins. They can be separated easily by using this chromatographic system. This method, that is chromatography, it's a widely used method for the separation, identification and determination of chemical components in complex mixtures. For example, if there is a carbohydrate system, the mixture can be glucose, fructose, mannose. Now, if I want to separate these three components, I can easily make use of chromatographic techniques in which the complex mixtures can be separated. Basically, after the separation, I can also identify what is the component present, whether it is the glucose present, whether the component is fructose, or whether the component is mannose. So, chromatography can be used for the identification also. I can also understand the determination of the chemical components. That means whether the carbohydrate has got carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Along with that, if we have any other component associated with the system. Even such systems can be identified by chromatographic techniques. This particular technique is said to be most powerful separation method, and it is generally used for most of the components for the separation. Not only for the separation, the chromatographic techniques can also be used to understand the completion of the reaction. It can be also used to understand whether the reaction is moving towards the completion or the whether the reagents are reacting or not. So basically, chromatographic techniques not only makes us understand about the separation, but also the progress of the reaction could be studied by the chromatographic system. What is the principle of chromatography? The methods that we might consider over here, that is whether it can be a thin layer chromatography or any other chromatographic technique, it will have two basic systems. One is a stationary phase and the other is a mobile phase. Stationary phase is nothing but it's a fixed phase. That is, this phase is fixed in a place. When the components of a mixture are carried through the stationary phase and we add a mobile phase, there will be separations. Now, how these separations happen? Because of the migration rates. Now, for example, if there is a glucose and mannose, we can say that glucose is different from mannose. Glucose has got a lower molecular weight compared to that of mannose. If I try to understand that there is a molecular weight difference, based on this, the lower molecular weight component can move faster and the higher molecular weight will take a more time to move. This is like comparing two people when they are running. If one person is of 100 kg and the other person is of say 50 kg, the 100 kg person will take more time to complete a certain distance and a 50 kg person will take lesser time to complete a certain distance. This is how the principle of chromatography also works. It is based on the differences in the migration rates. What is the stationary phase? It is nothing but it is a fixed phase that is placed in a column, or it can also be a planar surface. Column comes in question when we speak about HPLC, that is high performance liquid chromatography. Planar surface can be seen when we try to look into a system called as ion exchange chromatography, or it can be a thin layer chromatography. The mobile phase in chromatography is a phase which is used to carry the analyte mixture. The meaning of analyte mixture here is the mixture that I want to analyze. Mobile phase, it carries the analyte mixture and it will try to separate it into its components. The mobile phase can be a gas, a liquid, or a supercritical fluid. Dependent on what is the technique that I am trying to do, the mobile phase will vary. Mobile phase can be a liquid phase, that is a solvent, a gas phase, or a supercritical fluid. So basically, principle of chromatography is based on two systems. One is it consists of a stationary phase which is fixed, a mobile phase which is going to run down on the planar surface or in the column. Based on the chromatographic techniques, there will be various classification. There are n number of chromatographic methods, but the ones that we will be looking into would be thin layer chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, high performance liquid chromatography, or high pressure liquid chromatography systems. Now these three techniques we will be going through. There are many more chromatographic techniques which are utilized for more specific components, but these are generally used for various organic chemistry and inorganic chemistry experiments. Before even getting into what are those methods, we have to understand certain fundamentals of chromatography. The first fundamental is called as partition coefficient. Now this is also called as distribution coefficient. This is nothing but it is the ratio of concentration of a compound in a mixture of two immiscible solvents at equilibrium. Now two solvents can be, one can be an organic solvent, the other can be an aqueous solvent. Basically, if an analyte mixture is given to us, how it gets distributed between the organic and aqueous layer is said to be a partition coefficient, where when we consider A is the solute present, how that gets distributed in an organic phase and an aqueous phase. Kd is the equilibrium constant. It represents the equilibrium constant between the organic phase and the aqueous phase. A, it represents the concentration of the solute A being tested in organic and aqueous phase. Here, organic is given as ORG and aqueous phase can be given as AQ. This is also true that how we have to consider an equilibrium constant depends on how a component gets distributed into these two solvent species. Now let us take an example of benzoic acid. Now the two solvents that we will be considering would be benzene and water. Benzoic acid is an organic acid. We already know that benzoic acid is an organic acid. Benzene is an organic solvent. Water is aqueous solvent. Now benzoic acid, which is more of an organic acid, it gets distributed more in organic layer, that is benzene layer, and it gets less distributed in the aqueous layer. So this particular scenario, it speaks about how benzoic acid is getting distributed in organic and the aqueous phase. Benzoic acid getting distributed between benzene and the aqueous phase, which is water. Now let us consider the same benzoic acid and the components being octanol and water. The distribution coefficient can also be seen as log P between octanol, which is the organic phase, and water, which is an aqueous phase. Now the solute that we can consider here can be again benzoic acid. How much of this benzoic acid is present in an unionized structure in octanol, and how much is it present in an unionized manner in water? Now this is the equilibrium between organic phase, which is octanol, and aqueous phase, which is water. Now this is called as partition coefficient. Basically it speaks about the distribution coefficient of a component in two solvents. One is the organic solvent, the other is the aqueous solvent. Now this has got very much importance if we have to understand the distribution of drugs in blood serum, as to how drugs can easily distribute in the blood serum. There may be various factors which will be affecting this partition coefficient. Basically, we need to understand if there is a greater solubility of a substance in a particular solvent, either it can be an organic phase like benzene and octanol, or aqueous phase like water, the partition coefficient is greater. That means if benzene is having more distribution of benzoic acid, obviously the distribution coefficient increases. There is also a role of temperature. Higher the temperature, the partition coefficient decreases. This happens because both octanol and benzene, they are volatile components and they can be easily evaporated at higher temperature. Hence, there will be no availability of these solvents for the distribution of the solute. If we go on adding more component of the solute in the system and the concentration is reaching the saturation point, even that is going to affect the partition coefficient. So basically there will be three components or the three factors. One is the solubility factor, the temperature factor, and the concentration factor, which shall affect the partition coefficient or distribution coefficient. The second fundamental of chromatography is called as retardation factor. Now this is represented as R. It is the fraction of an analyte in the mobile phase of a chromatographic system. This is generally used in planar chromatography or thin layer chromatography. It is represented as retardation factor RF. Now the definition for RF is, it is the ratio of distance travelled by the center of the spot to the distance travelled by the solvent front. Now let us understand the retardation factor in more detail. This is also called as retention factor. It is defined as the ratio of distance travelled by the solute to the distance travelled by the solvent. Now let us consider that there is a plate like this. This is a silica gel plate. Now in this particular example, I am considering thin layer chromatography. Now there is a baseline that is provided. There is a solvent level and we have put the mixture. Now this mixture, it will be completely separated into different components. There will be a solvent front. Now this happens because of the capillary action of the solvent, which will move through this plate. Now RF value for this green component can be calculated as B upon A. B is how much this component has moved and A is the solvent front. Hence RF is calculated as distance travelled by the solute, that is this green color spot, divided by distance traveled by the solvent. Now this is called as retention factor, which is utilized in thin layer chromatography. We always consider from the baseline how much the solute has traveled, and then we again consider from the baseline the solvent front. When the solute front is divided by the solvent front, we get a certain ratio and we get a certain value which is said to be retention factor. There will be some factors which will be affecting this RF value also. The temperature, because the solvents that are used are again volatile in nature, so the temperature also matters. Higher the temperature, that means the solvent will not be available and there will be no capillary action. If there is no capillary action, that means the proper movement of the solute does not take place. Second, the purity of the solvents that is used. Solvents must be pure, otherwise they will interact with the solute that we are wanting to analyze. In turn, it will affect the RF value. The quality of the paper or the silica gel, what is the type of the adsorbents? If there are impurities in the adsorbents, the movement of the solute is restricted and hence even that affects the RF value. We also have to consider chamber saturation techniques. That means how much solvent should be used, how are we going to dry the solvent after the development, how is the observation need to be done. All this is considered for the RF value. The next that is going to be affecting is what is the distance traveled by the solute and what is the distance traveled by the solvent. We have to properly mark the solute front and the solvent front. There should not be any chemical reaction between the substances being analyzed. If there is a reaction between the solvent and the solute, that means the partition will not be proper and the retention factor will be affected. The pH of the solution is also an important factor which is going to affect the RF value. The next fundamental is called as retention volume. It is nothing but it is seen for the solute. It is the volume of the mobile phase required to carry the solute through the column to elution. It is also a measure of the fraction of time spent by the solute in mobile phase. Now this is commonly nothing but retention volume is how much volume of the mobile phase is required so that my solute will start moving. Now we can see from this chromatogram, we have to see that at a particular time a particular component is moving. Now what is the amount or what is the concentration of the mobile phase has to be used. The green color component and the blue color component have been completely separated. That means we have to make use of a particular solvent system and a particular measure of the solvent system so that they will start moving. Retention volume is nothing but what amount or what concentration of the solvent is required so that my solute will start moving with a certain given time. So this is how we speak about the retention volume. It can be 10 ml, it can be 5 ml. So a particular solute may start moving in either 10 ml of the solvent system or either in the 5 ml of the solvent system. So based on that concentration, there will be separation of the bands. And based on the separation of the bands, there will be a proper separation of the components. So retention volume is very important so that the bands get separated properly. What are the factors which will affect the retention volume? What are the analysis condition? That means what is the temperature, what is the pressure at that particular analysis. What is the type of column? Now this can be considered under HPLC section where the different types of columns are being used for the separation. What is the column dimension, whether the column is too long or whether it is short, whether it is a wider column or a shorter column has to be considered before even deciding what is the amount of the mobile phase that we are going to apply to the retention volume. Based on these three factors, the decision on how much amount of the mobile phase has to be added will be done. Thank you.